Welcome to Obsession Engineering and welcome to Brands Hatch. It's the last round of British Superbikes this weekend and we're going to show you behind the scenes in the Marvel HCL Motorsport team. So in the Marvel HCL Motorsport team we're running two bikes. We've got Franco Bourne running a ZX636 Kawasaki. He's currently second in the championship and already a multiple race winner this year. On the other side of the garage we've got Matt Bainbridge on his Tri-Options Ducati. Matt's consistently in the points this year and he's improving all the time. So it's Saturday morning and we're on track with Franco at 9 o'clock, but we need to do a little bit of a rewind to see about some of the prep work. Thursday night we are busying ourselves just having a bit of a check over the bike and doing some service work.
We've got to clean the brakes, do the pads, make sure they're nice and clean.
We're just doing a bit of a check in the airbox to make sure everything's clear in there, although they did have that off for a throttle body check after the race at Donington. We've also got the tank off because we're doing oil and filter change, and the oil filter on a 600 is up the top here. So that's off, and the clutch cover, like outer cover, is off because we've actually put a new clutch in it. And when I say a new clutch, we're not just talking steel and frictions, we've actually put a new hub in it. Because at Donington, when they had it apart, they realised there was quite a lot of wear on the clutch itself. So we're not going to be running this bike in this class next year, so I don't mind telling people some settings. Because we were here as well earlier in the year, we already have setup data from the session back then. So if I look at this one first, we've got, obviously on our data sheet, date, free practice 1, free practice 2, quality, warm-up and then the race, and then obviously all the data down here. So we've got everything from track and air temperature during the session to fork data, then shock data, gearing, wheelbase, bypass settings, how much fuel we used and when we had new tyres in it and that sort of stuff like that. There is also calculations for how much fuel we've used and some other notes at the bottom. So the front, we're on a very, very similar setting now that we run relatively close most of the time. We do sometimes change the fork height, but we haven't done between Donington and here. On the shock though, here it's actually surprisingly bumpy nowadays, so I need to change the rear spring because we ran the harder spring at Donington. So what I need to do next is put the bike on footrest stands and take the shock out of it. Luckily, we are quite well practiced at it, so it won't take me very long. So I've got the shock out of the bike and I've actually already changed the spring over. So to change the spring over we use this thing over here, which is the spring compressor.
Yeah.
And that's the spring that came out. And this is a 115 Newton per millimetre, or is it kilogram per millimetre? I can't actually remember on K-Tech. But as long as we know what number it is, that's the important bit. The spring I've put on is 110 Newton or kilogram per millimetre. It's kilogram. I'm sure it's kilogram. Right. So I've put the 110 on, and now I need to set the preload. So we have a remote preload adjuster.
How do you do that then, Dave?
Right, and we can adjust the preload literally with a spanner on here.
Yep.
So I can wind more preload in,
And that's...
or more preload out. So if I take the preload out, it makes the spring, in effect, a little bit softer.
Yeah.
So what I shall do is I shall go all the way out for a second, and from the setup data from last time, 11 turns on here should give me 10mm of preload. The adjuster does 0.5 mm of preload per turn, but there's already preload on the spring.
Right.
But then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to measure with verniers the spring length when I've got the preload
I see, yeah.
about where I want it. Because the springs are all ever so slightly different lengths. This spring and that spring are actually a millimetre different in length. But I've measured them before, so at least I know what measurement they are, so I can just wind the preload on and off as I want it, measure it with the vernier, and we should be tickety-boo.
Brilliant.
So that's a good bit of teamwork there. We finally got Franco's bike done. Matt's Ducati was actually ready before he came. So that's the bike's done. Matt has been busying himself as well. We have like track maps stuck up on here just so we can have like a quick discussion if we need to. And around the corner we've got the sheets with timings and bits on it for the day. So we know what time we're doing riding and what time we need to be in certain places and scrutineering, that sort of stuff. So that is it. The back of the garage is set up. We've got wets on wheels, we've got other dries ready to go. For free practice 1, going back this way, we are on scrub tyres for free practice 1. because, well, we've got a load and we're going to use them up. But for now, it's time for me to go and get my head down. It's Saturday morning, and luckily me and Pete are the early risers, so Pete's come in and turned the tyre warmers on already. We're out at 9 o'clock in the morning, so we need to be on the ball fairly early. To be fair, Matt and his side of the garage aren't out until 3 o'clock this afternoon, so there's no great rush for them. So then, Franco, last round of the year, what's the plan for this weekend?
2 wins, I think. Yeah, I think we need to go out. It's going to be hard. Max isn't here. It's still going to be hard. Seth's come on well. Sam's coming on well, but just need a good qualifying. Our race pace is always all right, so we just need to keep the front really.
So, no pressure at all then?
No, be nice to finish out with 2 more wins. We've had a few. Be nice just to get that double here. It's not going to be much easier with Max gone, but it's one less to worry about, I suppose.
So tragically, following an accident at the Donington Park round, we lost Chrissy, Rouse, one of our Superbike riders, and genuinely probably the nicest guy in the paddock. Over the last couple of years, Franco had spent quite a bit of time with Chrissy and got on with him really well, so as a bit of a celebration of his life, he's had his helmet painted up like Chrissy's, and obviously we've got some stickers and bits on the bike, and it's just a real nice thing for sort of Franco to pay his respects. So it's always good to have a plan before a session. And because the track isn't in the best condition this morning, what is the plan, Franco?
Go out, do some laps, see what it's looking dry on the Indy part of the circuit. I think the GP is probably going to be a bit damp still, to be honest. So just go out, do some laps. If it's still too sketchy, come in, sit in for a bit, and then obviously the fastest laps are going to come at the end. So you take it easy at the start, then go for it a little bit at the end.
So what I heard there was, check the clutch, don't generate us any more work.
Yeah, hopefully the clutch is sorted. Obviously we've had a lot of chatter lately. Hopefully that's sorted this weekend. I totally forgot about that, to be honest.
And this is why we prep before we go out. Right, so we're in pit lane. As much as we told him not to get too excitable, he was the first bike out on track. Right, we've got a spare rear tyre, another scrub if he wants it, although I don't think the session's going to be good enough to need it. Paddock stands and tyre warmers are ready. We've got Pete's tool trolley and bits back here just in case we need anything if we're going to do adjustments. And Claire is doing the pit board over there. So Claire and Grandma Avril are doing pit board. The boy is riding around. He's the one having all the fun. Okay. Aaron Sylvester. The man with this sounds bad. The experience in this class.
Call me an old boy.
Yeah. So you've done a lap and pulled in. Is it quite damp?
The problem is it's really dry in some places and really wet in others. So if everybody else wants to go do a lap time in patchy conditions, go for it. But it's not worth it for me. So that's why I pulled in.
Far too sensible for this class.
Yeah, old boy, as you say.
So he's just pulled in with sort of 7 minutes to go. We're bouncing around to the top 3 pretty constantly, but there's nothing critical to be learned. He just like a bit of clear track. So we're going to have another little go, a few more laps. The bike's feeling good. Everything good?
So far so good. Clutch is sorted.
Well, considering this wasn't about lap times or pushing too hard, he was second. So he was comfortable in the conditions. He'd been sort of first, second, third the whole session, so that'll do. Now I just need the reasonably lengthy walk back to the awning because he might get back before us.
New clutch is good. Little bit wet. Around the back under the trees was quite bad. I think we're still a good 2 seconds off the pace at the minute, but second, not too bad. We're normally back in about 12th at this stage, so good start. Spot on.
There's actually very little to debrief from that session. We know the setup is capable of 2.5 seconds quicker. Rider's happy, new clutch is working lovely. So what we're going to do next is pull the wheels out of it, get some new tyres on it. We've got to take it to scrutineering, and then we'll refuel it, basically give the bike a good check over, and we'll be ready for FP2, which is early afternoon. This is the tyre sticker from the last round, and we get a an allowance of tyre stickers, so we're allowed this weekend, because we've got 2 races, we'll get 4 sets of tyre stickers, and from the next session onwards we have to be tyre stickered, so we can't start the next session on scrub, so we want to start on brand new tyres. So we're going to go and get all of these changed at a bargain cost of 360 quid a pair.
Yeah.
It's only slightly offensive. Now, don't get me starting on the it's a one make series, so you've got to have Pirellis, but they're not exactly discounted. This big sticker normally comes off pretty easily. In one piece. Beautiful. This one, with the safety warning and technical advice, tends to be an absolute pain. Oh no, I thought I might get away with it. About 1 in 10 comes off in one piece, and it's basically like Christmas. But this one's not going to. It's going to be an absolute pig. The last couple of bits I'm sure will come off as he's riding it to the holding area. But I'm going to have a bit of a rant. Do not leave your tyre stickers on, because basically your tyre's at its peak for 3-4 laps at a push, and so you don't want to spend 3 of those 3 or 4 laps with a section of your tyre not gripping because you've left the sticker on it. It's just amateurish, isn't it? So we're always really good at taking the stickers off, and we mock those who don't. Right, so Pete is just pre-setting the pressure on all the tyres, and he's using his OAP gauge, as he calls it.
Yeah.
We needed a gauge with some bigger numbers on it because it's easier to read.
Well, that's right, though. Yeah, you can't. You just get to a certain time in life where things come a bit blurred. Now, some people say it's because I do a lot of, you know what I mean.
Whistling?
No, well, sort of, yeah, sort of. But it isn't really. It's just you get over the 50 mark and things just change a little bit. But anyway, we're all right, boy.
Yeah.
You just have to get things bigger.
You do, yeah. Well, there you'll need more of that whistling for that.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Matt's done a little scale. It's just dead simple stuff so we don't forget, because you know what? Things can get forgotten dead easily. Dead easily. And like tyre stickers, I've seen people being turned away from not being allowed out for qualifying and stuff. So it's really important that we've got them on.
So I feel we haven't actually introduced all the members of the team. So this is Matt, the Marvel behind Marvel HCL
yeah.
Motorsport. I refer to Matt mostly as team boss and Triumph's Ducati rider. Hi, Matt.
Hello. You're going to have to ask me a question if you wanted to speak more.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, Matt. What made you decide that you needed to have the extra hassle and expense of a junior Superstock rider?
Because I'm not going to win. I live off Franco's glory.
Yeah, and we're pleased that you've turned up and bought, you know, a truck and an awning and, you know, tyres and stuff, so we can all bask in Franco's glory
Franco's
as well.
glory as well, yeah. It's all Franco's glory, and we just tag along for the ride.
Damn right. We're enablers.
Enablers, yes.
Right, and Matt has brought along his mate Chris. So Chris has done a bit of racing in his time.
Yep, CB 500s.
An excellent class, I've heard.
Yep.
And you enjoy basking in the glory of Franco as well.
And Matt.
Of course, of course. Well, now that he's, you know, a regular point scorer, he's becoming quite the man.
He is, yeah.
Obviously, they say an army can't march on an empty stomach, and race teams do not work on an empty stomach, so Avril and Claire look after us incredibly well. What are we having today, Avril?
Well, we're having fruit scones with cherries, sultanas, etc., with lovely best butter, lots of butter, and loads of jam.
Steve, you're looking relaxed. Steve and Avril are Franco's grandparents. They bring him racing, and Steve has, you know, the stress the rest of the time, so he's relaxing.
Very stressful. Yes, very, very stressful.
Right, so this is free practice 2. The idea of the session, on the assumption that it stays dry, is to go as fast as we can to make sure the setting of the bike is good. But what we don't need to do is excessive laps, because the tyre that's in the bike now, the rear tyre, will have to do the start of qualifying tomorrow. That's the plan. Go out, go fast.
Try our best.
On his first flying lap, he's already 2 seconds quicker than he went this morning. We told him we want a quality, not quantity, and he's only a second off what he did in qualifying last year straight away, so it's going all right so far. I did him.
really smooth, controllable.
Just sliding.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Right, give me a minute. We're only 0.3 off what we did in qualified and the race last time we were here, but there's quite a bit of movement in the back of the bike. And there's a distinct possibility that that's because the track's quite green from earlier. But in a bid to get a bit more rear grip, I'm taking some ride height out the back just to get a little bit more load onto the tyre. We'll try and get you in this gap over here.
Yeah.
So hang fire a minute. We're just trying to get clear track. If we look on the tracking, we've got clear track here. Right, we can start pulling warmers.
Slide a little bit,
Yeah.
slips more, and then flicks back.
Right, okay.
So slide a little bit, I go for the gear change, then it's one.
Then it sits too low. Okay, well maybe
It's not really, really bad. It is controllable.
yeah, but you'd like if it didn't do it.
I'd like it to hook up a bit more, yeah.
Right, okay. I've just gone a little bit stiffer, so just to see what it does, because it might be that it might slide earlier, or it might actually support it a bit more, so that when you change gear it doesn't fit. But it's a little bit to try and see. Right, pull the warmers. Yeah. So not a bad session that. We led pretty much all of it, and then Keir Armstrong actually pipped us the fastest, and Keir's really Franco sort of probably best mate in the paddock, and Franco actually towed him round on Keir's fastest lap. So yeah, we're second by a couple of hundredths of a second.
I think it was cheating really, because he got that tow, to be honest, but
Well,
nah, to be fair, it's happened all year. He's been that far off me all year, and he's finally smashed me, so well done with him.
It's only free practice, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's fine. He's beat me though. He's beat me.
Keir, well done on you. Firstly, winning a session, and secondly, actually beating Franco for a bit.
Well, yeah, first time for everything, but just got to carry that on throughout the weekend now.
Yeah.
So.
No.
Okay, and Aaron's third.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy with that?
Yeah, 0.05 between us three, so that's pretty good going into qualifying and the racing tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good scrap, I'm really looking forward to it, yeah, it'll be good.
So now that we've finished the session and Franco's had a chance to get his leathers off, and we have had the most important point of the day, lunch, we're now into the second most important part of the day, which is the debrief. It's really important now that we've had a good, dry, proper session, that we get Franco to basically work through the entire lap on a lap sheet, and then he can tell us what the bike's doing, every corner, way in, way out, apex, and then we can talk through all the different details, and we can decide a plan of action for what we're going to change on the bike, how we think we can improve the package, how the different changes we made during that session affected the bike. And it can get quite detailed. Sometimes we come in and we're real happy and it takes 2 minutes, and other times it's 20 minutes with lots of drawing and explaining and questions. So if we're still here in 20 minutes, you'll know which way round it was.
You're just dabbing the limiter at going into paddock. We did hear it this time. Where the first session we didn't hear it.
But
So-
I don't know if it's going to be worth trying to meet with that, because I don't really want to click sixth really.
And the trouble is we're going straight into qualifying next.
Yeah, just trying to, as soon as I come out here, not coming out of there fast at all, but sticking right on the inside of here, and then I think if you start turning from there, you've got way more of like a sweeping line what you can take from there to there. So
Because that was our weakest corner last time.
but that one I was definitely getting better around there in that session. And then this was where I did have the chatter a little bit into here. Sixth, back up to
And was
third.
was chatter there from lap one?
Yeah, no, it was when we put the harder spring in.
Oh, when we stiffened up at the end.
Yes, yeah, that's what,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but then once I got back in the throttle and loaded the rear a little bit more, it was fine.
Yeah.
Are you in fifth for very long down there?
No, not at all. But you're holding the limiter from about there to there, if not.
Right, okay.
So just to stay off the limiter, really.
Aye. What was it like on the spin? Because you were saying that it was spinning.
So out of here, I had a big moment out of there. That's sort of, you're hard on the throttle out of there, so I'm not really too bothered about that. But this one here, Sheen curve coming out of there, I was playing with it sort of.
Yeah.
It was spinning up that much.
And just think about getting it picked up on the flat part of the tyre if you're
That's
spinning
why I
a
was
bit.
sort of picking it up, but it was still, I was fighting it, if you know what I mean.
I say our worst sector, because we're fourth, but we're actually only 3/100ths of a second off fastest.
Yeah, so it's not really.
Yeah, position-wise, it's our worst sector, but actually time-wise, it's absolutely fine. Is last sector to start finish.
I think that's main. That one's all right. I'd say that's in the last corner, to be honest. That's probably one thing we could get a bit better on, is a bit more front confidence. It drops off. And it's
the camber's working against you, innit?
Yeah.
Is that front end thing? Are you off throttle?
Yeah. But I don't think it's a bike thing, to be honest. I think it's more just
Track.
the track drops
It's a little
off
bit,
that
a
much.
bit like Donington going through Hollywood, where it's
Tell you what,
disappearing.
why don't we have a ride over there on the scooter? Just go watch some lines.
Can't get over there on the scooter.
I'll max
If
it out
we
now, innit?
need to do a bit more.
Yeah.
We better go.
Yeah. Right. So that is debrief over, and it has been a good 20 minutes, and that's 20 minutes when we've actually already been fastest in the session. Well, other than Kiam, who we towed round. So we have a plan. We're going to go out, look at the last corner, and basically confirm whether we're doing it right or not. So him. We're going to put the settings back to what we ran in the middle of FP, and we know if we want to change something in quali, which direction doesn't work. But that's it. We have a plan, and so all we've got to do, we've got the easy bit. We'll just play with some settings and watch the motorbikes.
I don't like you to say that.
And
Dave,
then Franco. Then it's all on Franco. Basically, no pressure.
Don't let the viewers think it's too easy.
So then, Matt, tell us what's gone on here.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
So Paddock Hill Bend.
Yep.
Start the first flying lap.
Yep. Passing somebody. Was going to go around the outside. It felt like he was coming out to me and wasn't tipping in, but it wasn't his fault. It was just one of those things. Clipped handlebars, ripped mine out of my hands for a split second. By the time I got on back, I was running out of room. Hit the brakes, locked the front, down the go. And after that, it's a bit of a blur, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, you're mostly in one piece.
Mostly in one piece. Fit to ride, so that's all good.
That's good.
Bike's not, by the sounds of it.
No, we should go and get that in a minute.
Yes, what's left of it.
So we've just got it back from scrutineering. We did have to go and see Tom at Motorcycle Race Parts to get some more clip-on tubes for these Spider clip-ons. But to be fair, for having crashed it at Paddock, it isn't that bad. Obviously, it needs a little bit of polish. Couple of cable ties, and it should be good to go. Oh, she's looking better already. It's had the first little soak. Chris has just had a little rub around with the sponge, and it's certainly looking less dusty, that's for a start. So Chris is currently doing rear set because the bolts for it are bent, but that's not too bad a job. There is a little bit of wiring in places there and down to the switchgear on that bar that we've not refitted yet that need doing. And if we go over to the whiteboard, there is a list. It is a reasonable list, but we've seen worse, so hopefully in the next couple of hours we can knock most of that off. How are you feeling now, Matt?
Stiffening up, shoulder's a bit sore, but I can move it, fit to ride, so I'm good to go.
No excuses then?
Oh, did I say my shoulder's sore?
Yeah. Okay. So some excuses.
Yes, always an excuse. Always an excuse. You should know that.
Oh, yeah, of course. I wrote the book. The advantage to having a standard air filter in the bike is that the airbox is not full of gravel. The only slight problem is the air duct running to it is full of gravel, so we need to get a vacuum cleaner on it, because otherwise if we pull the air filter out, all the gravel will fall into the airbox, and that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. So luckily, I think we have actually got a vacuum cleaner. We have! Claire has appeared as if by magic, and with no sexual stereotypes at all.
None at all.
No, the female has arrived with a vacuum cleaner. Well, crack on.
There you go.
After some innovative gravel removal systems, quite a lot of hours of work, and several £100 of the parts, the Ducati was nearly ready. Woohoo! Right, that's good. Oil pressure light went out. I think we've done all right there.
Well, you have.
So it's turned into a fairly busy morning. We got Matt's bike re-scrutineered, got transponder and everything on it. Franco's is ready to go, although we might end up changing wheels yet and start with the wet. Matt is starting with the wet because the surface is not dry. It's not standing water wet, but it's certainly not dry. Matt's out at 9 o'clock in 4 minutes, and then we're out straight after. So we have got enough people and we have got enough time. It's just a bit busy. Apparently, Franco has a slightly moist and sweaty helmet. So it's not dried out from yesterday, or it's just like the damp from the atmosphere. But how does that feel?
Not very nice. Yeah, a little bit sticky and moist. Should have probably got it dried out, really.
Yes, as normal, Franco has not got his helmet and gloves sorted. Right, we've got about 3 minutes before we roll out for qualifying. We are going on wets with a wet setup to start the session, but we have the dries and all the tools and bits in the trolley so that we can change them if we need to. This is it's going to be an odd session. How was it, Matt? What's the track like?
Horrible. It's not a dry line. There is dry patches when the sun's on it, bone dry, and then you go through the shade and you can just see the line as the shade's moving, the track's drying, but it's not fun.
Circuit is live, he's out there, he knows he can't stay out all session on the wet because irrelevant of what happens, the last 5 minutes will be the important bit. So, I just need the timing up. There's a lot going on, and he's come in, we've waited a few minutes and he's gone back out on the wet, and he's going to absolutely slaughter that rear wet, but we've told him to go out, slaughter the wet for like 2 laps, bank a slightly better time, and then we're going to put him on dries for the last 5 minutes or so. It's all a bit of a gamble. Dry rear, yeah? Full dry. Full dries, full dry. Franco came in towards the end of qualifying, confident that a full dry setup would give him the edge to get him to the front. In 2 minutes and 38 seconds, with some brilliant teamwork, we changed both wheels, the suspension setup, and got him ready to go back out. Well done, team. Can you tell we've done this before? Woo! We knew this was going to be busy at the end. Our first lap on dries put us from 22nd to 4th. We've now dropped to 6th, 7th. And he'll be across the line in a minute, and this is his last lap. So this is busy in these last few laps. Well, the last few laps of everybody had just gone mental. Across the line, 4th. Important, and we actually said yesterday top 4 would be useful because you're right place on the grid.
Yeah, I mean, ideally top 3 because you're on the front row, but 4th is mega. In the dry, we've got the pace. Let's see what happens. It's race day again, isn't it? So let's see what happens, boy.
It was a bit of a gamble on the last sort of 5 minutes, but definitely the right decision.
Cool.
Bit disappointed. I thought I could have got a pole lap on the last run. I got held up a bit I got right in the back of Louis on the last lap, which did hold me up a bit.
End of the session, everything comes into park ferme, and then the scrutineers will check certain bikes for certain things. Generally the top 3 will get a bit of a check, and it's the most important thing with this is if anybody wants to protest anything, they have half an hour to put their money down, but we're not doing that sort of thing, so the boys done pretty well. Right, so in-depth debrief for post-qualifying. It was damp, you went 4th, it was good, we're going to leave the bike as it is, yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent, job sorted. We're going to leave the front tyre in because basically you've just scrubbed it in. We'll put a new rear in it and we'll put some petrol in it. Easy as that. So I've peeled the main sticker off the back of the tyre and I've put my tyre sticker on that designates it's for this round and it's one of my allowances of tyres. So we've covered that base. Right, tyres here. Stock 600, you can have an SC1 or an SC2 front. Franco prefers the one, it's softer. But we don't get an allocation on the rear. We have the SCD, which you can't actually buy if you're not at BSB. The bikes are ready to race now, and it's about 10 minutes to 12, which means in 10 minutes time we're having a gathering on the start line, sort of in memory of Chrissy Rouse. We're trying to get the entire BSB community up on the start line for a 69-second silence. But I don't think it's really the place to be filming, so I'll leave the camera here. We'll go up and we'll, you know, celebrate the life of an absolutely brilliant racer. So that was a really touching tribute. There was literally the entire paddock. They filled the pit lane, filled the grid that much that some people were still stood in pit lane. It was absolutely ram full, and there were some lovely words. And yeah, the applause at the end of the silence was brilliant. And so, yeah, a cracking tribute. But as they said at the end of that, now we go racing. According to my weather forecast, having been bright and sunny, at 2 o'clock it's going to rain. It's 1:05 and it's raining. The slight issue is Matt is out in, well, his pit lane opens in 15 minutes. It doesn't really look like this is stopping anytime soon. And what we've learned already today is when it does stop, it takes ages to dry up. So I think Matt is having a wet race, and I'm suspecting we will have two. Right, this is getting exciting. Matt has just phoned us up because he's pulled in that race because he wasn't enjoying himself, and he's given us the report of right now he'd go wet front, dry rear, but the line is drying quick. Franco is more inclined with a dry front. Dry front? Franco says dry front. Franco's the rider. I mean, there's a chance our rider might be an idiot, but he's not normally wrong on this, and he can tend to ride in anything. So we have got 5 minutes before our pit lane opens, which means we've got 10 minutes before our pit lane closes. It is a moment to make a choice. Peter's gone to have a look at the track. It's getting nervous now. Me and Pete may have put a little bit of pressure on Franco to go with the wet front to give us a safety margin in the early laps. Just hoping we've made the right call. Wave to the camera. He's waving back. Cracking. Right, we are on the grid. We're P4, so start the second row, and this is the right place to be because we're top of the hill going down. Franco will, we think, do 2 out laps. So he's on his first one now, and then he can roll through pit lane, and then we'll do a second one and form up on the grid. There are 2 advantages to this. The first one is gets the rider's head in gear, and the second one is your tyres are warmer when you pull up onto the grid, because we're allowed warmers on the grid but we're not allowed a generator, so you lose temperature on the grid. Right, so this is fairly busy. There is somebody down there changing a wheel, which was sensible of them if they started on a wet. Hello, Bonnie's photographer. Right, they are on a dry front, wet rear. Wet front, dry rear. Seth Crump, who's on pole, is actually on full wet, so he's not going to be in the game for very long. Lewis Jones is going to be the only other man on the right tyre option, we think. Oh, and he's got our rear subframe because it crashed in practice, so he's got our spares. You stopping, Pete? Right, Pete's stopping on the grid. Fist bump the rider. Here we go. Aaron is the danger man. Wet front, dry rear. He's made the right choice. Are you nervous, Avril?
I am. Yes.
Very nervous.
Very nervous, yes, I am. I always am.
Dave, our friendly screwed here. You're not nervous, are you, Dave?
Not in the slightest.
Right, the bikes are rolling up onto the grid now. Franco is nice and easy to pick out in his Chrissy Rouse helmet. So I really like that helmet. It is working really well for us this weekend. What we need is a clean start, a clean few laps, and then once he gets into his rhythm, we think he's the fastest man out there. I think I'm more nervous than he is. But I don't think I am more nervous than he is. Look at the lights. Go! Aaron and Sylvester, flying start. I can't see where we are. We're second, I think. I think we're second. They got a TV screen in here. Yes, Franco's leading. Good lad. Come on, Franco, nice and calm. Go, yes, that's what we like, clear track. Right, me and Avril are in the OMG pit, because they've got a TV. Franco's still leading. Lewis Jones is right on him now. Lewis has been quick in the mixed conditions all weekend, but he's not a championship threat or anything. But we're leading, and Lewis Jones is using us as a guide. We're nervous, we're always nervous. How much would you want to be racing in these conditions out there?
I quite like it like this, to be honest.
Yeah. You've always gone one in the wet, haven't you?
Yeah, I just go the same speed all the time, wet or dry. And
Yeah,
it's,
just ignore it.
I'm slow in the dry and fast in the wet.
Right, they're on to the last lap. We've got a 2-second lead. Lewis Jones in second has pulled it back a little bit, but we've got 2 seconds on the last lap, so. Right, we're going to go on the pit wall. Cheer him over the line. 2 corners to go, looking at the tracking on the live timing. Right.
Come on, boys.
Come on. This is nervous, isn't it, Pete?
Very bloody nervous. Worse than riding by a long way.
Right, he's into the last corner, but that is not live, so it's a bit hit and miss. Right, camera up there. Yes! Now that is what you call a win. Woo! Are we happy with that, Pete? So that'll be that one then. Oh, this job's blooming brilliant some days. Right, I've got a paddock stand and I'm on my way to the winner's enclosure, which is not a bad place to be. Go Franco! That went all right, didn't it, Foo?
Very good, very, very good.
Whoop, whoop.
It was a great ride, boy. Great ride. I bet you was.
I knew how my front felt, so I knew they couldn't keep going.
No,
Yeah.
no, because they was on the same.
Yeah.
So we knew that.
Perfect,
yeah.
mate, perfect.
Yeah,
Mate.
brilliant,
Yeah.
right? You made a cracking start as well, didn't
Yeah,
you?
see at the second corner,
Yeah.
I nearly folded the front on the wet part.
Ooh. But you didn't, so that'll do.
Well, I think the mechanics played a big part in that.
Definitely,
Dave.
yeah. Yeah.
I think the mechanics, and we helped the
we
right
did,
decision
yeah.
as
We
well.
did, yeah.
So yeah, I hope the viewers realise, you know, we're worth our weight in gold, really, aren't we?
I think our rate ought to go up. Really, we'll be allowed 2 dinners.
I think I should be in some more lemon drizzle cake.
The really important one, Franco! Woo! Loving brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Right, the only thing we've got to do next is push the bike all the way back down pit lane to scrutineering, and then our bike, these two, they will do some scrutineering checks. It's quite regularly do dyno checks, weight, and then they might check shock linkage or throttle bodies, and if anybody protests, they'll strip even more down. The excitement of today's race might be over, but the work does not stop. Luckily, it hasn't generated as much work. We're going to change the wheels in it, put some fresh in, obviously have the bodywork off, have a bit of a look round, check the brakes. We might need to put some brake pads in it, possibly. Redo the fuel, stuff like that. But it's all relatively routine. And then we'll be all set for tomorrow. We don't get a morning warm-up or anything tomorrow. We are straight into racing at, I believe, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So as much as I mock about meal times actually being, like, you know, the most important point of the day, as a team bonding moment, this is actually pretty important. And it means, you know, we can laugh and joke, and the days where it might have been a bit stressful and stuff's gone wrong, we all get to chill out, have our favourite food that Claire and Avril and whoever has cooked, and we joke and take the mickey and all the rest of it, and we chill out, and you know, it's good for team bonding.
Very true.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
So you lot can bugger off, I'm having my dinner. So it's Sunday morning, so it's the last day of BSB for 2022. It's a relatively relaxed morning because we don't actually get a morning warm-up on either bikes. So we've had a pretty good year with this little ZX6. We're second in the championship in Stock 600, which means next year we have to move on. We won the first meeting of the year at Silverstone, and then we've won again at Knockhill, and obviously yesterday we won here. So the rest of the season, we've actually only finished races off the podium twice all year. Fortunately, we have had a couple of times when we've not made at the end of the race. We've been knocked off at Alton Park, and then unfortunately tipped off at Thruxton, having just set a new outright circuit lap record for the class, and unfortunately smashed his finger to bits and had to have a couple of meetings off. So that meant we were out of the running to actually take the Stock 600 title. But now that we're second, we have to move on. So last night, away from the cameras, we went to have a little bit of a meeting and have done a deal for some bikes for next year. So we are pleased to announce that next year the Marvel HCL motorsport team will be running Franco Bourne on a Honda Fireblade Superstock 1000 bike. We'd had discussions with a couple of different manufacturers. We had options on Yamaha and the Honda, and at the moment the Honda is the flavour of the month, and we get to actually have a little bit of access to Honda at Louth. It's going to be hopefully invaluable to help build the bikes, and we're going to have the option to test with them, bits like that. So we are joining the Honda family, but we will still be running out of the Marvel setup. This is going to be excellent because the team works brilliantly, we all get on fabulously, and it gives Franco some consistency with the team. It is going to be a learning year for sure, for Franco, for me, for everybody involved, but we're all excited to have a go at the Stock 1000 class on the Honda and see if we can emulate the success we've had on the Stock 600. If you're interested in sponsoring Franco Bourne and the Marvel HCL team, there are opportunities available for next season. Whether you're a business looking for promotion or an individual who wants to be involved in our racing family, there are packages available. I'll pop some email links in the description. So the nice bit of being involved with Rapid is they don't mind too much if I wander into the CDH garage. Right, this is Josh. Josh is their number one rider. 12th was it yesterday?
Yeah, big point scorer in the Superbike class. So today we have made a change to the bike, but I'm not quite sure what we've changed.
Excellent.
So what we were struggling with yesterday is the bike on the, obviously quite undulating in it, so start and finish line, which is not really a straight, it's more of a big arc. It was pumping a lot, which obviously then makes the bike hard to work, and then today we got to think, is it an 18 lap race?
I don't know. 20.
Is it 20?
Well, is it 20?
So obviously over 20 laps you start getting a bit fatigued and stuff, so trying to make the bike more rideable. I think we're 16th on the grid for race 1 today, so didn't quite get a lap time. I never thought to say this, but I got held up by Sykes.
So Tom Sykes held you up, and Leon Haslam had to pull in the pits because he couldn't keep up.
It hasn't come past me into turn 1 and then completely missed his braking marker, so I was a bit proud at that moment. So this is your throttle, this is your brake. We've obviously got Superbike brakes on here, Superbike calipers. Get them forks in because they are, if you don't say, a beautiful piece of engineering down here. All this is machined out for flexibility, so we can get more front end feel from the front tyre. That's one of the upgrades we've had for this year, and I must say it's definitely improved the bike. Superbike engine, I don't know what the specs are because I know we can do a bit, but we can't do loads in Superbike to try and keep costs down.
It's only top end now, isn't it? Anything below the head gasket is standard.
I think it's only top end. However, we do have a Nova gearbox in it to make it more smoother. Obviously, we've got yokes, and then we've got the dash here. I don't know whether we've got any. Sometimes we have a fancy picture on there, but no, not today. This is just showing that it's cold. Obviously, we're only at 17 degrees. Once they stop flashing, we can start revving it and going fast. Front brake, and I prefer that over, some people run the scooter brake, so the brake would be here, and then a clutch up here. Spam adjuster for the front brake when it starts to go a bit spongy. So as you see, that's why I haven't got a pedal down here. Fancy, more gold stuff.
Big fancy shock.
Big fancy shock, and Suter swing arm. This is just a tank cover. Underneath here is like an aluminium tank that is made to throw the weight further back, a bit more forward, and then that allows you to run a thinner tank, which then allows you to use your legs and stuff to be able to turn the bike a bit more. As you can see, I've only got little legs, so I've got a nice cushion here to stop me from falling off the back of the bike. Nothing can't go wrong with a bit of duct tape on a Superbike, you can't go wrong. And then got spoilers on here, because what happens is, because it's got that much power, we drift, so gives me all that gives me that downforce, so I can do DK around the track, Tokyo Drift style.
and that's the styling of purely for Instagram, yeah?
Yeah, just for Instagram. Instagram only.
Excellent.
Everything I do is either for Instagram or YouTube now. I'm an influencer. Not an influencer.
Yeah. Excellent. And on that note of utter nonsense, that'll do. Thank you, Josh.
Cheers, guys.
Jacko, who is the JJR of Astro JJR Triumph, was actually my mechanic back in the day. And how things have improved since then, eh?
Yes, they have, Dave. Drastically improved.
Standard forks with Öhlins internals?
Yeah, Öhlins internals, yeah.
Standard brake calipers, standard wheels?
Standard brake calipers, standard wheels, Hell braking lines. We have an aftermarket master cylinder on, which we're allowed this year, with a remote adjustable brake. But we have the World Supersport electronics pack on the bikes, which includes the dash, ECU, loom, switch gear. So it's the same as what they run on the World Supersport Triumphs, but we have different firmware in the ECU, which leaves us less revs. Again, that helps with the reliability as much as anything else. We have an aftermarket radiator, a big rad on the bike to keep it cool. Full exhaust system, made in the UK by MHP. And we have an Öhlins rear shock. Because the bikes come as standard with an Öhlins rear shock, but we have the an upgraded race spec fully adjustable one. You can run the standard slipper clutch, but we run an aftermarket STM slipper clutch. Standard swing arm, standard frame, standard linkages, standard subframe, standard tank, but we've done quite a bit of work to move because the rider's quite small on this bike, to move him towards the back of the bike, to move the weight back a little bit. Which is, as the season's gone on, we just seem to progress further and further backwards with him, and that's helped with getting the bike to handle.
So you move the rider backwards and the results go forwards.
That's the trick, yeah. And these bikes, they're available from Triumph. The engine preparation is done by Peter Hickman at PHR Performance, and anybody can buy anything that's on this. There's no secrets, nothing's hidden. It's all openly available, and Triumph are obviously hoping to get more people to build their own Street Triple RS 765 new generation Supersport bike and come and race it at BSB, and as we've proved, you can get them on the podium, so it's a competitive package.
Cool, thanks.
No props, Dave, it's a pleasure.
Matt will be rolling out in about 2 minutes time, so he's helmeting up and everything. The consensus is still full wet. Even Franco said it would be full wet because he's looked at the track, and if Franco says it's full wet, then it must be really wet. Yeah. We have some stuff. Alright, paddock stand. We have a Chris. We will at some point have a Claire. Right, is he doing, and then if he needs to, we can do a wheel change on here, but I don't know whether we've got a wheel, so I'm guessing not.
A little bit chaotic, but what would it be if it wasn't?
Shall we use the term high pressure?
High pressure, yes.
Sounds better than chaotic, because chaotic makes it sound like we're disorganised.
Which we aren't. Our rider slightly is giving us different instructions.
So we should stop letting riders make any decisions?
Basically, yes. That's the plan for next year.
John, former Tri-Options rider. I don't remember you being this end of the grid much.
Well, just looking out for Andre, really. A disaster. Good quality. He was qualified P2 then. Yeah, he missed his grid. They missed the pit time opening, so he was starting off the back of the row of the grid, lost interest rather quickly, so he's not had a good. He didn't have a fast time in the first race. So yeah, I don't know. It's the end of an era. I'm a bit gutted, really. I love this championship, and I did it for 2 years, and this is the last race it ever going to be. So I'll give him a bit of support on the back row.
Why not? Still wet out there.
It's definitely wet. It's dry coming onto clear wave, but far too much damp everywhere else. It's not worth the chance.
Yeah. So if he pulls in or has a really stupid little accident like Donington, are we going to take the right mick?
Yeah. Yeah. To be honest, there's a few gone out on slicks. It's a little bit wetter than it was for me, so I think it's a bit ballsy doing that, to be honest.
Point to lights. Go, go, go. Matt looks like he's had a good run up the inside there. Come on, Matt. We're not quite sure who it might be. Might be Bob Collins or his teammate has fallen off, unfortunately. So there's a safety car, which means the two riders I saw on the grid with dry rear tyres are going to struggle because they're going to lose all the tyre temperature. And Matt is currently in 15th, so he's picked up 9 positions from his grid slot. So if he can get a point from this, I think he'll be pretty pleased. So in the really, really weird ways to finish a race, they've waited until 2/3 race distance and red flagged it, so they don't have to rerun it. as an organiser. Hello,
Hey
Josh.
guys, back again.
Can't bloody get rid of him now. Yeah, so
He's on a stocker next year. Tell him.
yeah, he is. Josh, we know. Moving on from Josh's wonderful news broadcast there. Yeah, they waited until 2/3 race distance and then red flag the race so they don't have to do a restart, which is a bit of a crap way to finish a championship, like the tri-options thing is general, the race. But Matt gets a point, so he might actually be that disappointed by that.
I think that's top 15 in the championship. I'll take that.
Excellent, that'll do then.
Everyone will remember me for that. Top 15 Ducati Tri-Options 2022.
Don't you know it?
Yep.
Infamy. So I've got just over an hour before the start of the race, but less than an hour before our pit lane opens. So I'm making sure we've ticked all the bits down our side of the list, and the only thing left to do on there for us, I have actually got the warmers on, is tyre pressures, which will be done a little bit nearer the time. So I'm going to give the bike a little bit of a warm-up, and I have to remember that we've got new brake pads. So we'll be doing 2 warm-up laps, like 2 out laps for the race. It'll get him warmed up because he's not had a warm-up, and he can just get a feel for the new pads. We are on grid slot number 2. Edmund Best is on pole because he was the only man who went yesterday on a full dry setup, which was brave and actually worked out fairly well for him because he got up to 5th, I think. So Franco, when he turns up, was full of quite nervous energy for this one, and there's nothing wrong with nerves. Nerves are good for you. I think it's fair to say that he's not the only one, because I'm normally like that as well. Being as they're clearing the grid, I better get rid of you lot. Careful, it's not that cold and you've got your gloves on.
Always have my gloves on.
Is that so you can't see your nerves?
So I can cover my face.
Quite right. He looked like he'd calmed down a bit on the grid. He was chilled out and joking around, but here we go. This is a bit that counts. Go! Good start! Come on, Franco, come on, come on, come on, come on. I think he's got it. I think we're in the lead. Right, in the garage, we'll get on the telly. Yes! Right, we're in the lead. Now all he's got to do is keep it calm for the next 12 laps, which is probably more than I'll manage. Stars, red flag. Right, we've got to go with all this again. Right, so we're stood in pit lane, back on the warmers and stands. Obviously he's a little bit annoyed that he had a great start, but... Right, we're going to have a 10-lap restart. It will be original grid positions because they haven't had enough time to change anything. Got to keep out of the way of the actual cameraman. But when this starts, this will be quick restart procedure, which is no stands or warmers, 1 man on the grid so your rider knows where they are. And that's it. It's a little bit more club racing start. None of this faff around with tyres and warmers and all that nonsense. It's get on the grid, start the race. Hopefully do the same start. Right, 10 seconds. Let's go. I'll even turn your ignition on for you. I know. Don't you spend all that electricity at once. Right, so that's the riders who won the warm-up lap again. So me and Av will all stand here and get nervous again. Hopefully we don't have to go through all this again. It'd be nice to settle into a race and actually get going. Wait for the lights. That's a decent start again. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, we've got it. I think. Right, back in here. Disrupt the Honda boys. Yes, excellent. We're leading again. This is good news. It keeps us out of trouble. Right, end of the first lap and we've got a second lead, and the nice thing is they're scrapping behind. So that's Shelton and Aaron Sylvester. We're on lap 4. Laffins is closing a little bit. We've got 3/4 of a second at the moment, and Aaron unfortunately has fallen off, so he won't be getting 3rd in the championship. Our lead is down to 0.4, but I am confident that we can do that lap time every lap because we have been doing in practice and quali. Where the Laffins can is a different matter, and it is always easier to chase. Right, so I think Franco's reacted to his pit board. He'd have seen the gap coming down. So he put in a better lap. He put in the fastest lap of the race so far and pulled the gap out to nearly a second again. So he is quite good at this. Smooth, controlled, calm. He keeps doing it. A tenth a sector, maybe 2 tenths a sector. We've got a 1.5 second lead at the moment, and this is what he does. The boy is pretty amazing. Just keeps chipping away, tenths and tenths and tenths, a bit Lorenzo-esque, disappearing up the road. Come on, all I want to see is that little pink helmet. That sounds wrong, but you know what I mean. Yes, boy! Are we happy with that, Claire?
Very happy. Very happy.
That one bad. How was that?
That was fucking mint.
That'll do then. So that was pretty good, that was. 2 wins in a weekend. Second in the championship by a mile. We've shown people what we are capable of, and most importantly, what Franco Bourne is capable of. And before my battery goes flat, the boy has done brilliantly, and we are mega proud of him. Whoop. This weekend has been brilliant. Excellent teamwork, second in the championship, 2 race wins. Franco Bourne's a legend. Has everybody had a good time? Thank you for watching, and join us again next time for more motorbike fun.